Welcome to Beyond the Listing, where we discuss the business of real estate outside of the listing environment. I'm your host, Jeremy Madore, with
Danielle Downs.
So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It is, this recording is going to be launched 2 weeks into the new year. Mm-hmm. And so yay, 2024.
Yeah. We're all going to be writing 2023 for the next 6 months. So
yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then when we get used to that, we'll be doing 2025. So that's how it goes.
Yep.
But yeah, I just wanted to wish you a Happy New Year. And
Happy New Year.
Last time we talked a little bit about your New Year's tradition.
Yeah.
And you want to share that with our audience?
Yeah, that was the writing things down that you want to happen throughout the year and just setting it on fire and letting it go.
Do you already have a list?
No.
As of this recording?
Nope. It will be New Year's Eve. We'll sit down and figure it out.
Okay. All right, good.
Yep.
Well, I'm anxious to hear what those things, how those things turn out for you.
Yeah. I forget what I did last year, to be honest with you.
Do you ever speak it to anybody else afterwards, or it just stays on the paper?
Stays on the paper. Yep.
Paper and flame. And
no, I mean, people can talk about it. It's not like a birthday wish, know, which you can't speak of after. You can say them, but especially the kids, they like to keep it to themselves. Okay. Which is interesting. Because then I'm like, what are we planning? What are we scheming about?
Right. Did they just grade my performance as a mother?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
And then just sent it out into the universe.
Exactly. Dear universe, please deliver me a better mom.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are all the. What's that?
I was going to say a mom that doesn't yell that much, but
no.
I don't yell that much.
No.
It's too exhausting.
You got to save your voice for the phone.
I do. I'm too tired to yell.
So we wanted to say to our viewers that we are actively seeking podcast guests. So if you'd like to come on the podcast and talk a little bit about your life in real estate, what got you involved, what keeps you going, specifically your home life, your hobbies and interests, and maybe kind of talk about your business as a realtor and how that works toward your client's benefit. Basically, if you've watched the episodes, you know that we've covered some good territory. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping that we get some diverse guests so that we can kind of cover a bit more.
Yeah, somebody we don't know very well, I think would be really interesting.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. Getting to know somebody a little bit better, and it's a fun, relaxed atmosphere to come in and sit down and just chat for a bit.
My goal for the upcoming year is to continue podcasts like this one and hopefully step into the next level podcast as well that we've been batting around.
Yeah, chatting about.
And develop a deeper relationship with the people that are on the other side of the table by getting to know them in a bit more deeper sense.
Yep.
Not just hey, what do you do? And how old are you? What's your name? All that kind of stuff. Like those are networking meeting hits. Talking about more along the lines of, if I don't know, maybe we should start sitting down with a beer with people. I mean,
that has my vote.
Wouldn't be the worst idea ever.
Yeah, a little vodka tonic.
Exactly. Yeah, getting people to talk a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we obviously have a relaxed environment here.
Absolutely.
And this is not, full of pretense. And I'd like to invite more random people into the space and have those kinds of journeys.
I agree. That would be fun.
So without further ado, we're going to be we're going to be talking with one of our realtors today who's been with us for quite a number of years, who has ventured into different areas of business, including AirBnB ownership. She is in the process of developing her second short-term rental.
Oh, nice.
She's had plenty of experience in long-term rentals in the past, so she's very well versed with working with different towns and cities, and making sure that she's meeting requirements, etc.
Sure.
But short-term rental is very different from long-term rental in the marketing spectrum. Mm-hmm. So she's done a wonderful job at her rental that she's already completed. huge success stories there.
Where was that located? It was the sea, if I remember. Yeah.
Charlemont. Okay, yeah. In Shelburne Falls. That's what it's still. Okay.
Yeah, that was a gorgeous area.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the pictures.
Gorgeous area. And that Airbnb has really taken off for her. So I'm really hoping to, show everybody the information that she and I talk about. And she's also welcoming some new additions to her family as well. And so we can talk about that a little bit.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, she's just a all around fantastic person.
Yep.
And you've dealt with her.
I have.
You've known,
Yep. Sweet.
Yep.
It was actually, I got to meet her finally in person when she came here for the opening.
That's right. Right. She did come for the grand opening. Yeah.
Yep.
That was a whirlwind of a day.
It was a fun day.
It was.
It was a fun day.
It was. Everybody left here with a smile on their face.
Yep. Absolutely.
So anyhow, without further ado, let's get to our guest. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Beyond the Listing. I'm your host, Jeremy Madore, and I am joined today by
Michelle Peterson with Elm Grove Realty.
Thank you very much for coming in, Michelle. I really appreciate having you in the chair, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. It's nice being here.
Your career has been mixed insofar as being landlord, being stager, being storefront owner. You had the whole consignment shop for a while. You became a realtor, and things kind of migrated for you.
Right.
And so where you are in your journey right now looks nothing like what it used to 6 years ago.
No.
Not even 2 years ago, I'm guessing, too.
Yes, yeah.
So
that's why everyone thinks I'm crazy.
Well,
because it's ever changing.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I'm crazy. That's for sure.
Right.
But it's an adventure.
It is.
And it's not happening by accident.
No, absolutely not. Life would be boring if if we didn't change things all the time.
For sure. And I think that kind of spirit right there, I think, is what I connected with you about way back. And that ignites me because I'm ignited by that too. And it's always been a pleasure to see like what's rattling around your head.
And yours too, though. Yes.
You got a good brain for things.
Thank you.
And your life is anything but stale. I mean, you went to Italy this year.
I did. Yeah.
For a wedding?
It was amazing.
For a wedding?
A wedding. My brother got married there.
Your brother got married. Okay. I wasn't sure who it was that had gotten married.
Yes.
Okay.
It was my brother.
Yeah.
So it was all family. We had over 90 people from the States go.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It was unreal. Unreal.
Your photos look absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
It looks like you guys really ripped it up there.
We did.
That's good.
We did.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And you brought, obviously, your kids with you.
All but one.
All but one.
All but one.
Okay.
We even had my granddaughter that was there as well.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So it was a family expedition.
It was.
You guys were there for how long?
We were there for 9 days. We spent 3 in Rome, and then the other 6 in Sorrento. But we went to the Isle of Capri. My brother rented a yacht, and we went there.
I saw that.
Spent the day there. That was really nice. We went to, I can't remember the name, Pompeii.
Okay.
And got to see all the ruins. It was kind of awe-inspiring to just imagine what it was like to be there during that time.
From a somber perspective,
right.
It gives you maybe an appreciation for the non-permanence of life.
Right, and how quickly things can change.
Yep.
Yes, yep. So that was really neat. And just everybody there, the people were beautiful people. We didn't have a problem with anyone. The food was amazing. Drinks were amazing. It was just a great experience.
I love how drinks in Italy are probably, no less potent than the ones in the United States.
Well, it's funny. We had ordered a rum and Coke, and without the pitcher, it doesn't do it any justice, but they also can't speak very good English.
Okay.
So the bartender brought out a glass of rum with fruits all cut and neatly placed on this platter, and fruit and chocolates.
Yeah.
And it was a great display. It wasn't a rum and Coke. It was just really funny. So we had a kick out of that, because
So there's no Coca-Cola that he brought out with it?
No Coke.
So we just went straight for the rum at that point?
Just for the rum, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting tale. I'm gonna have to. I'm sure there's probably a translation thing there. So I wonder what they would call it in Italy.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it was good.
So you brought one of your grandchildren with you?
Yes. My daughter brought her, of course. But
fantastic. Fantastic. And I understand that you're going to be another
grandmother. I'm so excited.
Is that from the same daughter or
no? This is from my daughter, my second child. She's living in the Outer Banks, and she's the one that said she will never have children. So I'm ecstatic. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When is she due?
The end of June.
Fantastic.
Yes.
How many grandkids now?
That will be my second.
Okay.
I have 5 children and only 1 grandchild right now.
All right.
My kid's watching this.
Hey, there's the intro right there. That's it. But yeah, so you got a busy life. This year in real estate was how was it for you? I know how it was for us, but
it was good. I had dealt with a few things in the beginning of the summer, the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So I took some weeks off, actually some months off, but I still pretty much kept to my same, what's the word I'm looking for?
Production level?
Yes.
So your goals
Good
were
words.
still hit for the most part?
For the most part, yes.
That's excellent.
Yes.
So, but you guys had a new dynamic this year with managing your Airbnb.
Yes, we did.
How did that go? What's the first year takeaway on that?
Oh my gosh. It was amazing.
You want to talk a little bit about the process? Because I'd like to know, about where it inspired you to begin with, and then kind of your journey through it. I'd like to maybe rip that open if that's okay with you.
Yes. I like it. It's a good story because we had gone out there to the Charlemont, Mass area, which is in the Berkshires, to go whitewater rafting, and there was nowhere to stay. We ended up staying at a campground, but they had minimal tent sites. So, and I'm not typically a tenter anyway. So anyway, we were like, it would kind of make sense to buy something out here that we could use and then possibly rent it,
Sure.
when we're not there. So in our minds, we thought, well, if we can make like $25,000 a year, that'll cover the expenses, and then we can use the house the rest of the time.
Sure.
So it took me a while to find a house, just because of the cost.
When did you buy it?
We bought it in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, just before everything exploded.
Sure.
But it was a
rehab.
A rehab, to say the least. It needed a lot of work. So we spent a year rehabbing it because it's an hour and 20 from us. So
yeah, it's not a weekend project.
Right. So to get out there was tough sometimes. But when we finally got it done and put it up on Airbnb, it started renting like right away.
Now you and your husband did it.
Yes.
Directly.
Yes.
Did you hire any subs or anything like that?
Oh, we have guys that work for us.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. A lot of friends helped out, and so that was good. And we let them stay there.
Nothing like a barter deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. So you guys put it live on Airbnb at what point?
So we put it live December 22.
Right. So it's been 1 year.
Right.
Yep.
So literally 2 weeks before Christmas, it booked up for Christmas the first year.
Okay.
And then we didn't honestly think it would book in the wintertime. We thought that, we went out there for whitewater rafting. That's what other people would go there for.
Sure.
Well, Berkshire East is there.
Yep. Ski area.
The ski area. Yeah. And we have literally been booked ever since.
That's fantastic.
So we have to go online and block out weekends so that we can stay.
Yeah. So you have to throw in some blackouts.
We do. Yeah, we do.
That's good.
So I've already done my blackout for this ski season.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys ski?
I learned 2 years ago.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep. Nothing like learning it at 51 years old,
That's
but I did.
interesting. Okay, yeah.
Yep. And
what called you to do that?
we went to Jay Peak up in Vermont and for a family ski weekend with my brother. And so I said, well, I'll just babysit their little baby. I'm not going to go skiing. Never skied in my life.
Sure.
And so the baby wasn't feeling well one day, so my sister-in-law stayed home.
Okay.
So she's like, why don't you go take my skis? And I'm like, are you kidding me? But it was like super powdery, and yeah, it was easy. Well, I wouldn't say easy because
it was forgiving.
Fell down all the time.
Right.
But it was forgiving, you know, and bounced back up, and
that's good.
Yeah.
Did you teach yourself?
Pretty much.
Okay. So no actual instructors.
No, I just got on that bunny slope.
Yeah. Hey, it starts somewhere.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Good. I always admire people who take on new interests and pursuits throughout their life, but particularly after midlife, I'd say, you know, like, and if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're taking on new pursuits, I feel like that's probably just still part of your growing phase.
Right.
And not to say that you can't grow, you know, when you're north of 40, just more along the lines of it's usually less likely that from what I've observed anyway.
Well, right, because you get smarter when you're older usually.
So you're saying that the lack of wisdom of a younger person encourages them to take more risks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say lack of wisdom. I just say that they don't understand yet how fragile their bodies are.
Okay.
When you're my age, you realize that things can happen like really easy.
Okay.
So,
life can change in an instant, as it were.
Yeah. And we get hurt easier, and you know, you fall down, you don't get up so quickly.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So that's why, not because they're not smart, just
okay, fine. That's fine. They're less risk averse because their resiliency is a little higher.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
Right.
I get that. I had the fortune of learning to ski when I was in my teenage years, and actually learned to ski at Mount Sunapee in New Hampshire, and it was part of a Christian boys weekend kind of thing. And I taught myself. No, there was no instruction either, and you know, it's just, you know, but it was exhilarating. You know, I learned how. I had already known how to skate since like 4 or 5 years old. So skating versus skiing is not incredibly different as far as how to turn, how to stop, etc. Obviously it's on a hill, not flat, but as far as the principles of turning and stopping, a lot of the same principles apply. So it's always been, you know, really up there for me as far as an enjoyable winter sport. So
that's probably why I picked it up, because I've skated and skied. I mean, skated and roller skated my entire life.
I've never done roller skating.
Really?
Interestingly enough,
I was an 80s girl. Oh, okay. Got a roller skate.
Yeah. I was a 90s boy, so I learned how to rollerblade because roller skates were very passé by then. But yeah, no, that's funny. So tell me a little bit about, let's go back to the Airbnb thing.
Okay.
What are your first year takeaways as far as what you've learned from guests, what you've learned from, didn't see that one coming? There's got to be like some aha moments that you had.
So, well, we went on, I spent a lot of time on the Facebook Airbnb pages with all the different groups, and everything on there was so negative. So very negative. So I was like almost nervous. I'm like, oh, they're going to trash our house. Right. They're going to break things. They're going to steal things. And just before we listed it, my husband was like, I don't think I want to list it.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, this is the whole purpose. I mean, we had a lot invested in it.
Yeah. Good on you for continuing.
Right. So what I learned is that you can't always believe what you read online. I know. We've actually had an amazing time with pretty much all our guests. Yeah. We don't get to see them in person, but we do talk to them during their stay.
So there's good reciprocation.
It's, for the most part, most people are really good. Some of them you feel like you're, becoming friends with, and others, you just let them have their distance, but they're always, thankful at the end. I think the one thing that the other day, a couple of weeks ago, actually made me get teary-eyed is I got a message. I woke up in the morning that the girl that had booked, the boyfriend proposed to her in our kitchen.
Nice.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I just thought it was awesome. Because that's kind of my happy place, and to see that other people are creating memories there.
How does that make you? So it obviously it left a positive impression on you.
Yes.
But from a from a surrealism standpoint, do you look at that and say, like, obviously there's like a novelty to that whole concept of someone being in something that you own and put out there and developing their own path. It's a branch at that point. And, and you're kind of the tree because it's your property. You created it. And through the use of something that you've provided, they are then furthering along their own memories, their own thoughts, their own families.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's why I got all teary-eyed, because I was like, wow, they're just creating their memories, their happy moments. And then hopefully they'll come back, every year because they enjoy the place. So it's just kind of weird that people, maybe it's their, what did I call it? I call it my happy place. So maybe it will become their happy place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can understand that completely. And I think that in real estate in general, we carry around the idea that we're building people's dreams and allowing their life to continue moving forward in the direction of their goals. Right. And I think that we can generally say at the end of the day, that's 90% of what we do. Right. And of course, but we do it in a more transactional nature, not so much in a curated one. And what you've done is you've created a space specifically for the purpose of joy, of vacation, of relaxation, all of those wonderful takeaways of the softer side of life, so to speak. It's not work. It's not appointments and commitments and all this other stuff. It's literally the whole opposite side of that, where you're encouraging people to throttle down and appreciate who they have around them, the environment that they're in, and be maybe a little bit more intentional with how they spend their day. Right. And so it's a different side of that furthering along someone's life story. Yes,
definitely a different model.
It is. Yeah. It is. In the same way though, so you were a landlord, or still are? Do you still have long-term rental units?
We do.
Okay.
We just sold one on Friday. We're in the process of selling most of them. At one time, I think we had like 63 units. 63
doors altogether?
Yes. Okay. And now we're down to 14.
Okay. That's a large change.
Yes.
And how long ago was that 64? Was that pre-COVID?
I think we started selling during COVID.
Okay. All right. So within the past 3 years, you've gone from 64 down to, you said 16?
14. Yes.
14. So that's a very sharp decrease. Yes. What prompted that in the end? What's the biggest?
There's a few different things. Well, one, the market, of course, prompted a good deal of it.
You can own it. You can say
own it. Yes, that's true.
No, the price was right.
The price was right for sure. It's also a quality of life for my husband and I, because we do most of our property management. And I think both of us just got to the point where we want to not be getting calls at 11 o'clock at night.
That's not fun. Okay. So now there's a lower frequency of calls, obviously, as a result of fewer rentals, fewer units. But no, I can completely appreciate that. Yeah. So your life started changing in a way where you started realizing the value of your time, family, health. Yes. Yeah.
So it was hard. Friday was bittersweet because that property we had for 10 years.
Wow.
And when we did the final walkthrough, over half of the tenants all gave me hugs and said, "We don't want you to leave, but we understand you have to." And that was tough because they really became family.
How were any of your tenants there the whole time that you owned it?
Four or five of them.
Wow.
The whole time.
And how many units was that building?
10.
So
10.
So 40 to 50% of the tenants that were in there had been there the whole time?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good investment for somebody.
Yes.
Because
long-term
so
tenants.
long as they don't mess up the pricing structure on that.
Right.
And that's obviously the danger, which is what some of the tenants face whenever there's a landlord changeover.
I know.
But no, that's a good legacy for you, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it felt really good. It made me feel also like, oh, I kind of felt bad, but
well, there is that.
They're in good hands. Good people bought it.
In the end, though, long-term rental is a business, just like short-term rental is.
Yes.
You need to keep at a very high priority the quality of life for the people that are living there. And mixed with that is making sure that it's a feasible investment for you,
right,
to ensure that you can continue operating as a business building. And so obviously there's a very difficult balance there to ensure that you're doing the best for your tenants, as well as making sure that they have a reliable place to live. Right. Because it's a chancy balance sometimes, especially with inflation and cost of living, being where it's at.
Right.
But how does from a managerial standpoint, how do things change when you go to Airbnb instead of the long-term rentals? How does, in your mind, how has that worked so far? From a time investment, from a getting calls at 11 p.m.
Right. We don't get many calls from the Airbnb guests. And if we do, it's during the day. The house was pretty much completely rehabbed, so we really haven't had to deal with a lot of issues there yet. It's just happier. I don't know how to explain that and make that sound, bad, but it's people are going on vacation and they're in happier moods rather than,
it's
day-to-day living.
Humdrum.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So I enjoy that side of things better.
Okay. All right. Does it create a disposition or a predisposition for the individual who's giving you the phone call where they're maybe a little bit more patient with some things? So they're happier. So the attitude.
Oh, the attitude's different.
So when somebody picks up the phone and there is a problem, are they seemingly more patient in an effort to resolve, or I'm just trying to figure out.
We've had one problem there where the heat kicked out, and we were feeling horrible. I mean, they're on vacation and the heat kicks out.
Oops.
But they were very understanding and don't worry about it. And I ended up giving them a credit for staying, and they didn't want to take it. And I'm like, no, so in that sense, they were, I think a little bit more understanding, but tenants are really nice too. We've never had a tenant call us and get upset with us because something isn't working. I think most people understand that a lot of that stuff's out of your control.
Sure.
Sure. So
that makes sense.
It's just less calls with one.
Well, with the one versus 64.
Yes.
I mean, that's quite the change, obviously.
Yes.
But I understand that you're undergoing number 2.
Yes.
Can you give us
3.
any insight into that? 3?
3. So we have one in Winchendon that we've purchased that's on a pond. Okay. So we're going to dabble at that and see if that will work as an Airbnb.
Is that also a rehab?
All our properties are always rehabs.
Okay. Well, just for our viewers' benefit, I know that.
You know that. Yes.
Which I think, just as an aside, from a rehab standpoint, I've seen a lot of flips. Keith has, and we've seen a lot of flips. And when it comes to rehabilitation of a home, I've always found that the level of care that you and your husband take on how to rehab it has always been in the mindset of, how would I feel if I lived here? It's never been in a race to the bottom of the price point kind of thing, where you're minimal money in, maximum money out. Because a lot of flip companies, they'll go in, they'll lay down the cheapest flooring possible. They'll hire the cheapest painter possible. They'll put in, manufactured countertops and cheap, Home Depot cabinetry, and they'll just go through and they'll just do like baseline stuff.
Right.
And then they'll sell it for market rate top dollar because it looks great, but it doesn't actually wear great. Whereas the flips that I've been in and that you've done are not there. They look great and they will wear great because you guys didn't do the cheap stuff. You guys just notched it up one or two. And it's amazing the difference that exists between the baseline stuff and then one or two notches above. I mean, if there's baseline and the max, you guys are still falling in the middle. But the truth of the matter is, where everyone else is down here, you look like $1 million at that point.
Thanks. Yeah, I was walking those homes and I'm like, oh, that's like lipstick on a pig.
That's the term I was not going to use, but yes.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, you said it, not me. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Anybody who's done their homework for buying a home, they've seen it. Right. And the ones who don't see what they're buying are the ones that are going to lose in the end, I think. And really, who's that really benefiting?
Right. For me, I can't do it. Like, I show houses all the time. I sell other people's houses all the time. And like, I wouldn't be able to even put my name on it and be like, yeah, this is a flip we did. And,
it's like an
floor's
ethics thing?
Yeah, it kind of, yeah. It
is. A values thing?
It is a values thing because if I wouldn't want to live there, I certainly don't think I'd want anyone else to live like that.
That's more to the point right there.
Yeah.
And same thing actually happens with Airbnbs. So lately, in the past few years, our team has been getting involved in more and more Airbnb photography. And so we're starting to see, the
difference.
Oh my goodness, the gamut that you cover in the types of homes that people cobble together for Airbnbs is pretty significant. It's not public knowledge, but it is now. Here we go. My wife and I are actually in the process of building our own Airbnb from scratch.
Yay.
So we've already, the lot has been cleared, the 2-bedroom septic installed, the foundation poured, and I just finished capping it off so that the first floor is encapsulating the foundation so that it's all set for the winter.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so the idea is over the next few months, as time and temperature allow, I'm going to be going over there and framing my walls and at least just laying them down for now, covered, and then erecting them when the weather cooperates long enough for us to get the second floor deck.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. So it's just going to be a 1-bedroom Airbnb with a loft bedroom, intentionally aimed at younger couples, just for purpose of honeymoon, getaways, date nights, stuff like that. And it's literally directly next to our property.
Nice.
So we're going to literally be able to keep a set of eyes on it, which I think might be a double-edged sword. Whereas, like we're going to see who gets in and out of there and we're going to have those like, oh, what do we do kind of moments.
Right.
But I think like what you're saying, I think our risk assessment brains, I think aren't too different, you and I, where we sometimes see like the disastrous outcomes that could happen. And so therefore we try to plan around those. Would I be safe to say that?
I would say.
For the most part. And so with those things in mind, I'm trying to plan the floor plan and the amenities in a manner that tries to keep us out of the worst case scenarios.
Nice.
So that the worst case scenario that actually exists in the end is more like the mid case scenario had we done nothing kind of thing. So that's the hope. So we'll see how that all goes.
Maybe we can switch properties.
There we go. Yeah, we can do some barter deals.
Nice.
So ours is it's not lakefront, but it's lake access, just the same as our association that we live in. And it's one of only, as of the time of this recording, there's only one other rental in our association. And it's it's become a party house. And it's kind of the eyesore of the neighborhood, or at least it's the ear-sore of the neighborhood. So in the summer, it's really, really busy. And it's the price point of it is such where multiple families will split it.
Okay.
And so they bring the party with them as a result of that combined family living thing, which I get it. People are on vacation. They want to have a good time. But, when you're launching fireworks at midnight, that's a whole other story. Yeah. So when we went into it, I talked to I'm a member of the association board of directors. And so I wanted to, basically get the thumbs up from everybody. And I went through the process to ensure that what I was building was adding to the value and not detracting from it. And so we're trying to do it right.
Good.
We're trying to take the proper steps along the journey, ensure that we're using the right materials, ensuring that we're building it in a sustainable manner so that, we're keeping the energy costs down, that we're using materials that are going to stand the test of time, and maybe always aiming up a little bit, like I was saying about the whole notches thing.
Right.
And it's funny because like I'll go to the lumber yard and I'll be like, all right, this is what I need. And they're like, oh, I got this other product over here. It's like half the price. And I'm like, I'm not interested in that.
Right.
The reason why that's half the price is because it probably will burn quicker, or it won't last as long, or
no one else wanted it.
Or no one else wanted it, I mean, there's a difference between a sale, like a bargain kind of thing, like if something got on clearance because it wasn't selling, versus something that's just half the price because it's an engineered product and it's currently considered to be better, but long term it's not tried and true, like the wood products or whatever, that kind of thing, So it's going to be a journey for us.
That's good. That's awesome.
I'd like to compare notes with you at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you near? You're near the ski resort up there too, right?
Yeah, we're near Sunday River.
Sunday River.
Yeah, so we're just about 45 minutes to an hour away from Bethel. We're just east of Bridgeton. We're east of Harrison, so where you grew up, or you have family anyway. But yeah, no, it's really enjoyable being where we are. The only downfall to our area is that it's like 25 minutes to get to anything. So we are kind of in the, we're in the desert of amenities other than the lake, so the gas station, like the closest gas station is like, I want to say it's like 18 minutes away.
Jeez.
Unless you're a boat, the boat marina is right there. And so if you want to pay $5 a gallon for gas, have at it, so, but no, it's good. And it's going to be a nice adventure to have.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I was curious to hear about your first year takeaways. And it's comforting at minimum to hear about how the Airbnb Facebook pages are,
yes,
it's like the worst of the worst.
Totally the worst of the worst.
Somebody took my TV.
Yep.
Somebody,
Someone took all my furniture.
Destroyed some furniture, or, destroyed mattresses or whatever it might be. Broke windows.
Yeah, I mean, little things happen. We had a lamp break, but
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that stuff, of course. But it's not at all what it was. It's portrayed on those sites.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But it's also not what is portrayed on like HGTV as far as like the remodeling process.
Gosh, no.
You've been around that 100,000 times.
You're right.
So you know the ropes.
Definitely.
And for somebody new to it, that might be a bit of a reality check.
Right.
Because it is hard.
It's hard, and everything costs way more than you anticipate. Way more.
Foundations are expensive.
Yes, they are.
I was all set to put it on posts, but then I was permitted to do so. I could do sonotubes, or I could do the precast concrete posts. But I was talking to the guy, the code enforcement officer, and his name's Fred, and Fred's a really chill guy. So thankfully, we have a very flexible, code enforcement officer in our area. So he's not like, by the book kind of guy. He's by the book. Like if you ask him a question, he'll consult the book.
Right.
But more to the point is that he's also guidance based. He wants people to have successful, opportunities instead of blocking them from having success by just throwing up walls. So it's been a nice journey with him so far. Very relaxed journey.
That's good.
And he very quickly dissuaded me from doing the posts because he actually pulled out some comps in our area. And he's like, look, he goes, I have a couple buildings that are on posts. Let me just show you real quick. And he pulled the field cards, and their taxation, or their valuations with the town are significantly lower than their foundation counterparts, which now that I know, I get it. That's an assessment. It's just the town assessment stuff. But if the town's assessing it like that, that the appraisers aren't doing much different. Oh, generally. And so from a property valuation standpoint, we were very quickly persuaded to do the foundation instead of the posts.
Right. Well, that does make sense.
I never really thought about it like that. You know, the only thing I was thinking about is, you know, how am I going to keep the underside insulated so I don't have freeze ups during the winter? Right. You know, like literally, like that was my biggest concern, you know? But yeah, the posts, you know, would have been, I think, probably $5,000 or $6,000 worth of materials, whereas the foundation was 23. So there was a big gap,
right?
You know,
but, like for resale value, everyone loves basements.
That's the thing. That's the thing, you know, and you can't retrofit a basement very easily, you know. Sure, you can raise a house and pour something underneath, but that's a whole can of worms that you don't really want.
Yep.
So, and we're planning on doing a 4-season rental, just like your Charlemont place.
Good.
Because we are near the ski resorts, and then of course we got the lake for the summer and stuff. So there's a good balance there of seasons.
Now that's what I've learned is key. Like you have to be near water and a ski resort to have full like year-round rentals. I do a lot of research on Airbnb of like lake rentals, houses that, you know, basically I want to see like how well they're renting. And all I can find is most of them have like their summers are booked up, but they have no rentals in the wintertime.
Yep. Feast or famine.
Yep. Yeah. So
that's hard to plan around. It's a lot like winter real estate in New England. You know?
Right.
It's not because houses won't sell in the winter. They will just fine. Right. It's that people are either programmed to not list, or they have other things to do that are more important to them during the winter months, like hunker down. So I think that vacationing in New England is the same way. And so if you're not near amenities that attract people throughout the year, right, you're going to have a lot of that kind of activity. Yeah. So I'm glad for you that it's not just a whitewater rafting destination.
Thank you. We were too.
Yeah. How was your spring?
The spring. So this past year in April, it was pretty much, I think we had one booking. Okay. And which was actually great because it was completely booked every single weekend from Christmas in 22 to the springtime. And so we were happy because we were like, oh, we can go there and get some stuff done. Sure. Yes. Yep. So it was good. And we are making far more than we expected. Yeah. So it didn't bother us that we had that month off. Yeah. You know, we were going to be happy to just make enough money to cover the expenses.
Yeah, you said 25,000.
Okay, so I did. I said that if we make 25,000, we'll be happy, and then we'll be able to use it whenever we want.
Fantastic.
Well, now I'm at 81,000.
Wow.
For the year.
Wow, three times, and I had to literally go in and like block dates so I could go to my own house. So after April, when did it pick back up again?
Right away in May.
Okay. And would you attribute that to the whitewater rafting?
The first part of it was a couple things that I didn't know about. One was hiking, of course, but there's a wedding venue in town that I didn't even know existed. Oh. So we got a lot of people.
That's great.
For that.
Yeah.
I also got 3 or 4 people that actually wanted to get married at the house.
Okay.
So
are you permitting that or no?
No, we decided not to. And then I had a company, 2 companies call me because they wanted to take their, do their advertising photos there. Mm-hmm. So one was a male soap company. Mm-hmm. And so they...
Like Dr. Squatch or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. And they used the house for that.
That's fantastic.
I got some amazing photos back.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that we never even expected.
Yeah, you didn't count on it.
No. Yeah. No, not at all.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So recently we did some realtor lifestyle video along with some lifestyle photography. Mm-hmm. For one of the realtors in our area, and she had gone ahead and rented an Airbnb for the purpose of that photo shoot because she didn't want to use a client's house, or she either didn't want to, or she didn't have access to the kind of environment that she was hoping to have. Okay. And as a company, like, you know, we can do in-studio stuff all day, but the stuff that you're going to have developed here is not going to be significantly different than someone else who came into the studio. Right. Because the backdrops really, you know, we can do anything we want with the backdrops, but the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, a home or a location is largely going to have that differentiation factor,
right?
Where you can easily see that it was photographed somewhere else. And so I think that there's a whole market just for that kind of work. And not just for realtors, but for business professionals in general, to do anything lifestyle related,
right?
Where you're, if you have a fantastic kitchen in your Airbnb, it could easily become a set for anything food related, right? Like a food photo shoot, how to prep, somebody could even go in there multiple times a year and do videos or whatever. And so there's a lot of opportunity there if you think about what kind of hook you're going to, create there.
Right.
I have one client who we do photography for. He lives in Florida, but he has 6 rentals in my area in Maine.
Oh, nice.
And he always has like something of interest for people to get and go do. Like he even, he batted around some ideas. He's like, hey, what do you think about a zip line, Jeremy? I'm like, well, I think like a zip line course would be one thing, but that's a whole level of insurance that you probably don't want.
I was going to say that doesn't sound very good.
But like, he always tries to like do something a little bit different. Like he's got this hammock that's built into the deck.
Okay.
So that when you go out onto the deck, you can just throw a pillow down there and literally look right up at the stars, because right above the deck is just nothing but sky.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's got that built into the deck. And it never even occurred to me that might actually be a nice thing to have.
Right.
I mean, out in our area, we're much more dark sky than out in like Boston or even the Merrimack Valley or whatever. And, even in Winchendon, you still get a good amount of sky at night that you wouldn't get, closer to Fitchburg, Leominster,
Absolutely.
And so it's little things like that actually create value for clients that you didn't even consider. Right. Just the other day, I was driving by one of our lakes on the way to school. This was, I think like late October, maybe early November, but there was a lot of fog on the lake.
Oh, pretty.
And it was like the quintessential LL Bean fishing catalog kind of thing, right? And sure enough, there was a camera crew unloading gear with a kayak and a bunch of other stuff. I went by, I didn't stop and stare, but the amount of equipment that they reliably put into this little skiff so that they could go out and do something with this other guy who was working was astronomical. Like they brought out these video rigs that we don't even have.
Oh, wow.
And so the thing about it is I brought the kids to school, and it's like a half-hour drive to get there. By the time I got back, they were still out there. By the time I went to go get them from school at 2 o'clock, they were still there. And on their way back, they were gone. So like they were out there for a full 6 hours, no problem at all.
Oh, wow.
Just doing a photo shoot or a video shoot all day on this foggy lake, which eventually cleared.
Yep.
But it was autumn colors, the whole bit, right?
Oh, wow. I can totally picture it.
All the marketing things,
Yeah.
And so it's interesting what kind of business exists out there that you don't even consider. Like people, I'll tell people that we do real estate photography. They're like, people do that?
You're like, what is that?
Like, well, yeah. I mean, who else who creates the images? And they're like, well, I just thought agents did it. I'm like, well, they used to, but a lot of them, they stopped doing it because they couldn't do it as well as we can. Or if they can, it's because they don't have a lot of listings and they don't have, the budget for it. So.
No, I remember when I switched to using you guys because Sherry Tamerlan, I had looked on one of her listings and I looked at her photos. I'm like, oh my gosh, those are amazing. And I didn't know her that well because I was a new agent. So I messaged her. I'm like, hey, what kind of camera do you use? And she says, I use...
My camera is called Madore Photography.
Madore Photography. She goes, and ever since I started using them, she goes, I will never take my own photos again. So that's when I called you guys. Cause
do you remember what our first listing was?
No.
I remember a large amount of our listings. There was one in Phillipston that we'd done.
Oh, our first listing.
Yes.
It wasn't the one in Royalston?
Royalston. And you were staging it.
I was staging it frantically, trying to get it finished.
Yeah.
I think that was our first.
If that wasn't our first, it was at most our second.
I agree.
It's possible that it was our second because I remember when I walked in there, kind of having a sense of how you operated.
I feel I knew you. Yeah, because you jumped in. You helped me put that entertainment center together.
Oh, geez, Louise. I forgot about that. I just remembered working room to room because we were doing the Matterport as well.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think was there something that had to get transferred? Oh, there was a light bulb issue. There was a light bulb issue where you didn't have enough light bulbs for everything. And or either that or lamps. There was either a lamp issue, like you were lacking some lamps and we had to use them in multiple spaces.
Okay.
And so I had to progressively work through the house, photograph and Matterport one section of the house. Shift
Who's
stuff
that
over.
horrible agent, wasn't I?
No.
That's like me and my plants. I have to have my plants.
The difference is though, Michelle, and I think I've said this before, is that the attitude that you bring toward a listing transaction is who you are as an individual, which is just vibrant and you don't get flustered easily. Like, I don't know. It's like being like a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout, like you're just prepared. And even if you're not fully prepared, you wrangle yourself together like that.
Show how to make it happen.
Exactly. You're a miracle worker,
Thanks.
So I think that when I can speak for us, I think, in the process, I think that when we arrive to a listing that isn't properly prepared, but we know the agent knows how to deal with those kinds of challenges instead of like saying, oh, you guys can work your magic, right? I think that we're just left at ease where we know it's going to be a team effort to complete the goal versus looks like I'm going to be late for my next appointment kind of thing, because there's a huge difference between those two types of approaches. On the one hand, you have an agent that's like, oh no, you're the hired help. And I'm like, we're not stagers.
Right.
But then on the other hand, you have agents who are like, could I have your help? And I'll be like, yeah, you can, because you asked me, and it's all about the intent. It's the effort. And if I see a reciprocation there, right, where you're understanding that maybe I'm a little bit late or I'm just a little slow today because I got this backlog or whatever it might be, there's that two-way street. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no, I've never walked into one of your lessons and been like, oh, here's a Michelle Peterson special, because we have those, we got those, and they're a challenge. But you can always know what agents are really prepared for whatever comes at them versus the ones that just don't respond to it as positively, I guess is the best way to say it. And you're definitely the one who's just prepared with it, whatever gets thrown at you.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate that because sometimes I don't feel it.
Well, you hide it. You hide it really well.
Hide it well.
So
yeah.
No, it's always been a pleasant experience.
Thank you.
Always.
That's why I keep using you guys. 8 years now, I think.
Yeah, it's got to be that at this point.
Yeah.
So I know that we moved to Leominster nearly 9 years. It'll be 9 years in March. We moved to Leominster, and then from there, our name started spreading pretty quickly. Among Sherry Tamlin, Nick Pelletier, a lot of agents locally picked us up pretty quick.
Right.
And then as a result of all of that, we got a lot larger because of the demand that was there, and it's always been a very pleasant journey, full of twists and turns. Mm-hmm. But like you, I'm ready for whatever comes at us.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
Well,
Nice.
this has been a wonderful conversation, Michelle, and I thank you for coming into the studio and sitting down and having a chat.
Thanks for having me. It was way easier than I anticipated.
I told you, it's just like catching up at a property.
Yes.
That's really it.